your martial arts movie podcast.
I threw that shit before I walked in the room.
Featuring drunken Thai boxer Will.
Too bad you will die.
The also drunken wrestler Mark.
I said I don't want trouble.
And drunken karate master Zero.
You've lost your balls.
And now,
I know Kung Fu. You know, baby.
Fists of Fail.
This is the greatest way to start off the new year. Right? Right. Yes, I answered the question for me.
Of course. We want to start off the new year with a bang, not with some turd from Hiya.
Yeah, okay, well, this is the new year. Lots of new changes are coming. And for once, I am very excited to talk about today's movie. That's not entirely true, but as part of our new Year's resolution, or just moving forward, we're going to be a lot more careful with movies we curate. And by that means, I mean that we've hand-selected a movie that gave you and I so much of a kick the other day. So much fun. This movie is...
Hey, we actually watched a movie together. Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
We never do that anymore. We only have time to meet up and drink and karaoke.
Yeah, little did you know, Zero, I'm actually an AI generated thing. I'm not real, so that's why you never see me in person anymore.
That would make sense, yes.
Yeah. But we decided... I decided to create myself a synthetic body so we could watch this together. And what are we talking about? We're talking about the worst fucking title ever. 009-1, The End of the Beginning.
Horrible title, yes.
Absolutely terrible title. No. I don't know much about the source material, but apparently it's based off of a very old manga. That's what I've seen so far. Like I said, it's like 75 years old. I mean, this movie's 10 years old, so this must be 85 years old now. And
the original?
The original.
I think so. Well, the manga came out in 1964.
Uh-huh.
This movie came out to commission the anniversary of the creator's 75th birthday.
Okay.
In 2013.
I see. My information was very wrong. I was like, man, how old is this manga? And there you go. That the artist is as old as his creation. But anyways, we're talking about this movie today because it is a Koichi Sakamoto production. Well, director and action director of this film. And
we haven't spoken about him in a while, right?
I don't think so.
Was the last time Girl's Blood?
No, we talked about a Power Rangers episode.
Oh,
does that count?
That's right. But you could only have heard that if you subscribe to us on Patreon.
Yeah. So, chill out. But yeah, no, I'm excited for this one because in the topic of Girl's Blood, it is very much like that, in that the plot is the plot is very boobs, just boobs and ass and more boobs. This movie's incredibly dumb, very exploitative, but in the funnest way possible.
That is why this is so amazing. I love this movie. So, since we're no longer covering things on Hiya exclusively, we may go back to the platform when they have new releases. I decided to start looking up some other films. And out of all the places I found this is on Crunchyroll, an mostly anime streaming service, but because this is anime adjacent, because it's based off of an anime and manga, they have the live action adaptation on there. And I thought, okay, I like Koichi Sakamoto. He does pretty good action direction every now and then when he has the time. And I checked this out, and I absolutely loved every minute of it, and I kept on thinking, damn it, we can't talk about this yet because this was still in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been holding on to this movie for a while, and I showed it to you, We had beers, we had drinks. It was the perfect movie to watch with friends over drinks.
No, like the good old days when, you know, we actually get to just choose whatever the fuck we wanted to watch and not have to watch Code of the Assassins or whatever. I'm done complaining about how I'm glad that we're actually able to talk about this today because it's so dumb, so ridiculous, and it is very on the nose in terms of just, you know, appealing to the high schooler in you. You know, like the 13-year-old boy in you is like, I want to see explosions, I want to see artillery, I want to see people fighting, I want to see good, you know, stunt work, all that good shit. And the story is so repetitive and nonsensical. Doesn't matter because the movie is hilarious. It's fucking hysterical at times.
Will, I was thinking about this.
Oh no. Okay, what?
The whole time. I kept on thinking, wait, what is the story?
Oh no.
I just watched this a few hours ago and I kept on thinking, what is the main story? I don't get it.
Okay, you're gonna make me guess, aren't you? Okay,
yes. Tell me what this movie is about, because I know what it's about, but okay. I don't know what the overall story is.
Okay, well, the main character is a cyborg played by Mayuko Iwasa. Hold on. Let me try. She is working for an agency that supposedly has a bunch of other super cyborgs, and things get revealed later on. But anyways, she is trying to save this Dr. Klein, from something. I don't know what, but she, like, in this mission to save her from these, like, terrorists, I guess you can call them. There's like another cyborg that gets introduced into the fray. Meanwhile, our main character, Cyborg, she has distant memories of her mother and her brother before she was taken in by her agency and transformed into this cyborg.
So that's correct.
All this is correct, but the story doesn't make any sense.
What is the plot? What's driving our character forward? You can't describe it, because when you watch the movie, it keeps on changing. Everything about the story, it just keeps on changing from every scene to every scene. It's so weird.
Look, Zero, boobs. There's boobs and ass.
Yes, I was distracted by that many times. But rewatching this, I was trying to think, okay, she works for the secret agency. It's very evident there's some influence from 007. This is called 009-1.
Yeah.
She works for an agency. She's trying to find Dr. Klein, but then I don't know what Dr. Klein does. I think she was the original creator of the cyborg program, so they say she's kind of like a mother to her, but it's not really the case. And what you mentioned also with the flashbacks, when she was a child, her mother was killed, and she was separated from her brother. She was inducted into the 00 training program, but then I don't know, like what is she doing now?
I don't know.
There's another, and I'm just reiterating what you're saying, but then another cyborg appears, and you're like, okay, she's fighting this other cyborg, but you don't know what that other cyborg is doing. Like, what is that other cyborg's mission?
Look, Zero, two women are coming out of the pool together, and they're both wet. Look. I have no response to you, because you're right. The story doesn't make much sense. I have no idea what's motivating her. All you really know is that she really gets, or the main character, gets really triggered anytime someone calls her a monster.
It's like it's slur word in this
movie. Yeah. Basically, it's like a recurring thing where she gets very offended by that, and she has to get introspective about her being a monster. And yeah, I have no idea what's driving her forward. I think once Dr. Klein, this is gonna be a light spoiler, but once Dr. Klein gets out of reach of the main character, I have no idea what is propelling the main character forward. Like scenes just happen, people fight, and then the last 30 minutes of the movie happen, and my God, the last 30 minutes is just, it's like all the exposition, but at the same time, nothing is happening with the story. Right?
No, you're absolutely right. I just don't understand how I'm able to sit through this movie and be wildly entertained. But now that we're trying to talk about it, I don't know how to talk about the plot details.
Yeah.
Because things really change over and over again. Every time a new scene happens, they literally explode from one scene to the next. And then she has a new purpose in new scenes, and it unfolds as we're watching what she's doing. Mm-hmm. Suddenly, so the movie takes place in semi post-apocalyptic world. The East and the West are fighting, and Japan
something along those
whatever.
lines,
It's bullshit, bullshit exposition. But then at one point, you think everything is dirty and grungy and garbagey in the world, and then suddenly they're at a suburban mansion, and this rich man has hired all these women for his pool party, and she's there to retrieve a map.
I don't know. I don't know. And then there's and in that same scene, a character that hasn't appeared since the beginning of the movie suddenly appears, and there's a fight that breaks out between these two characters. And I was joking about, they look two hot women, just hot, wet women coming out of the swimming pool. But no, that's seriously what happens here. And I have no idea why. Why is she here? Why are they fighting? Why now? What are we doing here?
All
the questions.
I can answer that question. Huh? So she has some sort of mission in the opening of the movie. She kills a character called Stinger. Mm-hmm. The Stinger character had a girlfriend. Let's just call her Butterfly, because that was the tattoo on the girl's thigh. And so the Butterfly character reemerges because she wants to kill our main character, the cyborg, because she killed her boyfriend. Yeah, well, that I understand that, but why now? Why? How did she track her? Why is it happening now? I could tell you why, but it doesn't matter, because they're at a pool party, and when you see two women fall into a pool, they decide to turn on the slow motion cameras and just give you water choreography, just extreme close-ups of the water, right? Because that's the most important part of this. Of course. Yeah, and then not to quote unquote fast forward, but after that, once we're introduced to this extra character who was introduced at the last 30 minutes of the movie, which is way too late. You can't introduce a character that late into the movie. You can. Well, she becomes pivotal because that's the emotional drive for the final arc of the film. And by that point, oh my God, there's so many bombs, literal and figurative, that are being dropped here. That it's just it baffles you, what the fuck is happening right now. It just feels like the writers, if there even was one, had a field day. It's just fuck it, just throw everything in there. We need drama, even if it's just it's there for shock value. It's just there to it's there for shock value, but also we need some placeholder excuse for people to fight, right? Of course. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, it's a lot of fighting at the end. It's also a good combination of entertaining, over the top, and just plain stupid. So Speaking of fighting,
Yeah.
how is the action? We have Koichi Sakamoto. We've praised some of the works he's done, some of the earlier stuff he's done.
Yeah.
He's been involved in. I always
Broken
forget.
Path.
Broken Path, yes.
Yeah.
We love Broken Path. I've watched a lot of his Japanese movies, and they vary wildly. And the problem usually is the story.
Yeah.
It's usually the story. You can tell the budget's really low, so the fight scenes feel like they're really thrown together, and sometimes certain performers don't have it when it comes to physical presence,
Sure.
so they have to edit around them.
Yeah, I definitely noticed this here too. I mean, we can't. Broken Path, is one movie that I hold in high regard because it's like all the performers who are doing it, like they're actually doing it, right? Like whoever's casted, for the roles, like David Bosch. Steve, wait, I forgot his first name.
Johnny
Young Bosch. Yes, Johnny Young Bosch, main character.
Dan Southworth.
Yeah, exactly.
Koichi Sakamoto's wife.
yeah. But what I mean is like they're actually they're acting, but also doing the stunt work here too. But versus like Mayuko Iwasa, who plays our main character here, it's clear that she doesn't do anything, of that sort. Like she's doubled for a vast majority of. Well, I think everything. To be honest, I rarely see her face doing anything at all. It's always these extreme close-ups, cutaways to her face, like responding to situations. She's just shooting her gun, and it's just like just her face. You just see her face as she's shooting a gun, and then there's a reverse shot of stunt people just flying all around. It feels like there's the complete disconnect between what's happening, but it doesn't matter because she has boobs. That's why she was casted.
Well, this is a case where, so two things. This feels like almost American style editing because you're correct. Mayuko, it's clear she's not an on-screen fighter. So what they want to do is they want to get her face in those fights as much as possible. So how do you do that? You constantly cut to like her reactions or to her face or to this angle where you could see her and she's doing something, and then you have to cut to the reverse, and it's the stunt double going much faster, going much harder, delivering more interesting moves. But the problem is they want to cut to her face too often, so you almost get an edit on every hit. Mm-hmm. It's like hit, cut away, cut again. Like, oh, you see her face. You see her face constantly reacting to stuff. And it's a shame because you can see that the stunt performers, the stunt doubles, the whole action crew, they have to pick up a lot of slack. And, not trying to discredit her, but because they pick up a lot of slack, you get to see some great stunt falls.
Yes.
At least.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where the movie shines the most out of everything, outside of the glistening asses that are constantly wet.
Wet bodies.
Oiled
up bodies.
No, the thing that shines the most in this movie is the stunt work, really. Lots of great pratfalls. Like just seeing stuntmen like fall in all different manners. But it's what I said before is still true. That the whole point of this is based off everything you just said is cause and effect, right? If our lead actress is shooting her gun, you kind of want to see like the thing that causes the stunt person to fall over, right? But it's like the in between. There's something in between that's missing. It's like she'll shoot the gun into the atmosphere, not even aiming at anything, and then suddenly in the next cut, like you're seeing stunt people fall twisting into positions that feel like it wasn't like A to B. It felt like something's missing in between, and that's the detriment of having this kind of editing style. It's just like it just feels like there's no direct correlation between like what you saw just now and then why people are just flying all around. Really,
well. they have sound effects. You
Yeah.
have to just infer that, oh, that punch,
Sure.
that kick, or that bullet sent that stuntman flying across the room, because they fly. They are either, running and jumping, or they're being wire pulled because they go far. And if you've ever seen any of Koichi Sakamoto's other Japanese films, his stunt people fall hard. They work for that stunt person title. They crash, they fall from great heights, and they take it like champs. They do it pretty well, considering that this, you can tell this feels low budget, but at least they sell those hits.
Yeah, no, and then not going to take that away from the movie, but what really elevates this movie and keeps your mind off of the disconnect at times is the fact that there's just so much over the top nonsense that is happening in between. I mentioned the chest artillery. I'm going to mention it here. Be more.
You didn't
specific.
mention it before.
Well, I kind of did. I alluded to it. The chest artillery, and this is introduced very early on in the movie. Our main character is a cyborg, but her boobs, you don't see them. But when she reveals her boobs, she has like a Gatling gun mounted in her chest, and she can just blast anything away. She used it a couple times in the movie, and it's just like that. You don't see anything, but it's because all you see is that anything that's looking at her boobs is just being torn into pieces. Just like rain of bullets.
It's great. It's a really obvious thing to do, especially when you see her costume. You have the zippers on the tits. It's so obvious, but when it happens, it elicits so much joy from me. I know that sounds very immature, but I love that her tits are guns. It's because it's a given. You're just waiting for it to happen. I will say, what was disappointing? When they're doing the Ghost in the Shell ripoff sort of scene where she's in the tub and they're kind of examining her and whatnot. She's giving a voiceover, and she reveals that she has actually 7 implanted weapons in her body. So they only,
oh my god,
let us know the 2.
Did she have like a rocket launcher clit or something?
I mean, yes, of course. We never see it in the movie. If you just have to leave it to your imagination.
Sure.
If you've ever seen the show Friends, Monica reveals there's 7 erogenous zones for women. So if you know those 7 spots, you can imagine what sort of weaponry could be put there.
Oh my god. So for reasons like that, that's why you could just even if the action in this movie wasn't good, which it's very entertaining. You're still gonna get entertainment value out of it because this movie is fucking bonkers for sure. And actually, in a weirdest way, I find that the meandering story, maybe meandering is too strong of a word, but it's the fact that the story is so much considered like an afterthought in this movie. Like, that doesn't bother me at all. It's not going to bother you. Like, you're still going to have a great time. It's like, just focus on the visuals. I mean, not about the erotic side of the visuals. I mean, like, just how crazy this movie is, like, visually. Like, there's just so many things that are happening all at once. Like, it just very tonally all over the place because, like, they're trying to play out certain scenes and make it seem like something really, or you're trying to feel for the main character because she's feeling like a monster, but at the same time, look, her boobs, things like that. Like, it's inconsistent. I mean,
it doesn't go to that extreme, but the camera is constantly gazing.
Yeah,
just constantly. Like, it doesn't zoom into the tits, but it's there.
It's there.
It's constantly cutting away to it. Yeah,
absolutely.
Cutting to tits, cutting to ass, cutting to close-ups of wet, glistening bodies whenever they can.
Yeah. So you asked, what's the story about? I have no clue. It doesn't matter. All you have to know is that it's already a recommend from me.
So I could tell you what the story is, but I don't want to spoil it because one of the big reveals in this movie is so fucking shocking and could be upsetting. But I think if you've been on Pornhub in the last 5 years, you might not be too surprised. I don't know why I didn't notice it until you pointed it out, and then we were just yelling at the screen every time two characters were interacting with each other.
As we were watching the movie, like, we made predictions on what will happen, like if there's a big twist, and we won't get into it here. But when it's like it's slowly fed to you, like, oh, it's really hinting at it, and then it's no longer a hint. It's like it's flat out revealed. It's like, fuck you, fuck you. I don't like this at all. But it doesn't matter because like it's the shock value adds to the charm in that this is so fucking batshit crazy. I love it. I don't know.
It's funny you use the word charm to describe this certain scenario.
Yeah, this movie's fun for the whole family.
Oh god. But yeah, if you want to know what that twist is, because we're gonna reveal it, then you should consider subscribing to us on Patreon, because we're gonna go even more in depth, maybe not, into the story, definitely more into the twist, and how disgusting or turned on we are by it. And additionally, we're going to go deeper into the action because we kind of just glazed over it, basically what we liked about it, but we're going to go deeper into the fight scenes. So if you want to hear more, consider subscribing to us on Patreon, because there you're going to get the full episode, in addition to mini reviews we call quick jabs. And the one that recently came out was for Scott Adkins' movie One Shot, a supposed one-take action film.
Supposed. Well, you can hear all our thoughts in greater detail. But as part of the New Year promise, you're going to get a lot more things on Patreon, including some more exclusive video content that you're not going to get on our YouTube channel. And yeah, this is going to be a new thing going forward, so you'll see a lot more presence on YouTube in general anyways. But if you want to see exclusive only versions of our YouTube content, meaning there's no edits, there's no blurring, it's just like, because we want to get around those pesky YouTube checks.
We should put the Japanese porn mosaics
on
our YouTube videos. You can't watch this. It's blurred for a reason. Not safe for work.
That's very appropriate since we're talking about this movie today. But yeah, if you want to get all that content, so consider subscribing to us on Patreon. But with enough of this out of the way, let's talk about this movie, because I really want to talk about this. All right, good?
Okay. Yep.
All right, stopping in 3, 2.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. We're at the point where we give our recommendations, but there's a whole wealth of audio you would be listening to here if you follow us on Patreon. There you can listen to the entire episode, including an exclusive action breakdown of the fights in the movie. And now on to our final thoughts.
That's a movie. Yeah. Oh my god. This was a blast. All puns intended. Yeah, I don't know how to end this, Zero, because the movie kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it?
It really does. There's only so much we can say because we're just verbalizing what we find funny. It's hilarious. This is perfect, so bad it's good territory. And it's great because I believe they also knew it was going to be so bad it's good, so they kind of lean into some of it sometimes. So it's just very aware of how dumb it can be. It's not softcore porn. It's not softcore porn like Girl's Blood was really softcore porn. This is you see the boobs, you see the butts. It gets exploitative, but it's kind of fun too and silly, and just it's a blast, like you mentioned. It's one of those movies, watch with friends. I watched this alone and I thought it was hilarious. We watched it together again. We had a good time. It's so stupid, but it's so great. It's so good.
Yeah, I think you can make a great drinking game out of this. Like every time every time you see a flashback, take a shot.
Oh,
there's a lot of recurring things like you totally make a drinking game of
nudity.
The nudity, the ass shots, the boob shots, the flashbacks. There's a lot of things that recur throughout the movie, but at no point does it feel repetitive. The whole film is.
It's so weird. Yeah, like you just go along with the movie, and anytime. See, that's why I think they're self-aware. Anytime the movie feels like it's starting to drag just a little bit because of the dialogue, they're like, hey, here's a new cyborg T-1000, shoot her in the boobs. look at the bullets going to the boobs. You're like, wait, what?
Yep. Oh my god, it's so ridiculous, but such a good time. I leave it to Japan to intentionally make a so bad good movie and make it work. But yeah, this is a really high recommend for me. But on a more serious note, because this is what we do, action-wise, it's okay. Love the stunt work when it's there. I wouldn't say it's simple, but seeing stuntmen fall in various different ways is always nice. But it's definitely not the best in terms of action. But and then especially given that you have to constantly cut. To kind of stitch together things to make it look like the main actress is actually doing a lot of the choreography. So it looks a little choppy at times, and it's not done the best. You kind of have to forgive it for what it is because of the budget. However, put all that aside because boobs and boob cannons and all the nonsense. I think if you still just want to have an entertaining time watching a movie, then I think this is still it. But like in terms of great action, it's not quite there. But again, boobs.
This is one of those films where entertainment value actually trumps action and choreography. It's there, it's serviceable, and the stunt falls are great. But because of the limitations of the main actress, you can clearly see in the editing they had to go around her because of that. The action isn't going to be forgettable. No one's going to post the fight scenes because they think the choreography is good. They're going to post the fight scenes maybe because of the stunt falls, or maybe because it's just so fun to watch these, nonsense, silly scenarios, the crazy twists. 2 bombshells, not boobies, but 2 bombshells get dropped on us in the later half of this movie. They are so hard to swallow.
Oh God! Unlike one, actually, I'm not gonna go there because that's a very off-color joke. The movie alone is already very off-key. I don't know. I don't know how to end this episode. I still think that, all things considered, very high recommend, very much so bad it's good territory. You're going to enjoy the hell out of it. And if this movie has taught me anything, it re-verbalizes what I've learned from the Fast and Furious franchise. There's nothing more important than family.
God.